problem of FDR is not resolved, of course, Rwanda will always remain involved as part of this problem. I mean, there are no two ways about it. And this is something we have said for the last 30 years. So if you don't want Rwanda, if anybody keeps saying Rwanda, 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 and doesn't want Rwanda to have anything to say in this, why don't you remove this problem and see whether Rwanda was using it as an excuse? But there is even open information. By the way, people in Kinshasa, the government and officials, publicly, openly, they've said it many times over a long time. They tell you, you want to bring change in Rwanda. The people that are saying this, FDR, yeah, we see, okay, we are going to deal with them, we are going, like you said, they are the ones saying it. They are saying they have done something about FDR, it is because they are there. If they were not there, they wouldn't be doing anything with it or against FDR. But what we know on a regular basis, they arm them, they integrate them in their own forces, and we have evidence because we have people here, former FDR combatants who have been part of all those efforts. And either some of them came back home on their own or were captured in Congo, and they are telling the same story. You people, if you know a place called Mutobo, there is a place called Mutobo where we take people and for the effort of reintegrating them in the society. These people are there, they give you space to interview directly these people who will tell you these stories. The same people of the UN, the same people in the US, the same people in Europe, the same people who keep asking questions, some of them representing their own governments, have actually been there and they have been told these things, and the very people involved have given them anything and everything they wanted to know about FDR and how it is well embedded and supported by and in Congo. So these questions that keep coming, I mean, we live in a world that is like this. We have to deal with it the way it is. So for us, I mean, we have calmed ourselves down and are having to deal with the world that we have. We cannot create our own world. That's too much for us. So we deal with it as the way it is. We carry the blame that is not ours. We've been insulted, abused, belittled, and to a point that sometimes people are made to feel like you really don't matter in this world. What they tell us, what they keep saying, it's like they're giving us a message, you don't matter. So sanctioning is just to punish you, to drive the screw hard into your back. And at that expense, they promote whoever they want to promote. for whatever reasons that are not my business. But the question remains, how do we behave ourselves? One, we behave in a manner that protects us at any cost. We will do anything that contributes to that protection, day or night. There are no two ways about it. That one. We will also try to do what is right. If we, you know, we are a country that can't afford to mess up. If you give there's so many enemies we have an excuse, a chance to bring it to us, I think it will be largely our mistake. So we try to avoid that. We do what is right to protect ourselves, and we will do it without fear or favor, day or night, anytime. We are happy to do that. Actually, it's a pleasure to do the hardest task to protect ourselves. That's what it is. And the rest, what we try to do is actually, we've been trying to team up with other countries in bringing peace in different parts of our continent. And that simply underlines how much we want peace. Rwanda, we want peace. To the point that we are ready to fight for it. And that's our main thing. We want peace, and we want to work with others to have peace. So with all that I have given you, figure out what answers your question. But that's what it is.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take the next question. We'll take one from James Munyaneza, TNT.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is James Munyaneza. I'm from the New Times. And I want also to go back to the issue of the region. Of course, we have Burundi to the south. And the president of Burundi recently said that there were conversations with Rwanda, and Rwanda made the commitments that he claims Rwanda did not honor. If you could shed some light around that, and this relates to the suspects linked to 2015.
Around something that didn't happen.
Okay, I think that's very important to understand, because he made these claims.
Well, let's be clear. That where did that happen and when?
So from what you were saying, it sounded like there had been conversations between the two countries, bilateral engagements.
What time? Because the time matters.
I think that was not clear from what he said.
So everything is not clear.
Okay.
I don't know how you can answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is no commitment we ever made that we did not fulfill.
Okay.
Not with the president of Burundi, not with anybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Unless really something comes up specifically, then I will answer it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's now clear enough.
But maybe you might find one night he dreamt and thought it had happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing I remember when we talked, and actually he's the one who did not do what he, and I think I have ever said this, at the beginning, when the Burundi forces went to the north of Kivu North in Goma and other things. When we learned it, we learned about it through intelligence. I called, I'm the one who called the president of Burundi that time and asked him, I asked him that I have heard there are forces of Burundi going to our north Kivu. I said, why would you be, and I told him, I said, there have also been these accusations that Burundi, in a way, has been associated with this FDLR. Much earlier, before there had been some, we remember in the Nyungwe area when there was, there were reports and there were incursions from Burundi, some group called this, they have some name.
FLN?
FLN. They were coming from there. So I said, but I have heard, on top of that, association of Burundi with FDLR. Now I'm hearing that you are sending forces to North Kivu. I said, President, is this true? The man said, no. It was like, who told you? There is nothing like that. In fact, he insisted, he told me I should cross-check my information. That those people who just want to cause problems, it must be people who told me lies, and so on and so forth. I said, President, I will take your word, much as I think the reports I received were credible. But I will take your word for it. I mean, a couple of weeks after, they were captured in the North Kivu. Yes, I had discussed it with him. So I don't tell lies like he did to me. I don't. So on that one, I don't know which meeting or commitment or whatever he's referring to.
Thank you, Mr. President, on that. Finally, if you may allow, recently there has been reports about a planned oil refinery by Al Dangote in the East African region, in Kenya specifically. And then reports also, were saying Kenya is, he had offered a stake, 30% stake. And then they mentioned Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and other interested countries. Has there been such a conversation on Rwanda potentially acquiring a stake in that project, that oil refinery? Just in case, thank you.
In a way, there has been. But it is too early to talk about the details, because I think it is work in progress. Things are still being thought out. But what I can say is that Rwanda would be very happy to be part of that kind of investment.
Thank you, Excellency. I'll take another question. Yes, Miriam? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mariam, and I'm a content creator from Morocco. I have been cycling around the continent for the last 3 years, crossing 34 African countries. And while traveling, I saw how...
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And while cycling, I saw how much it was challenging and expensive to cross borders, and
Especially Rwanda's.
Rwanda was visa-free, so I was glad this
Oh, I
is my-
thought it was challenging in terms of mountains and...
No, the physical challenge was easier than the borders crossing.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so while crossing, I saw how this limits African connection with each others,
Yeah.
but we saw how Rwanda was example of African interaction and making it easier, like for African to cross the country or visit the country. And my question for Your Excellency, what's the example of the the mindsets you can give, like, to African leaders to make it easier for Africans to connect and build opportunities together? Thank you.
Right. Well, to begin with, I don't want even remotely to be perceived like I'm thinking for other people. I think for myself, and together with Rwandans, we think for ourselves. We can think together with others if they want, so if they invite us, if they think it is helpful. But we always want to do our best at home here. But in the meetings we have had, and there have been several at different government official levels of different countries on our continent, to talk about this visa-free or making really ease of crossing borders and so on and so forth. We give our opinion, not only our opinion, but example of what we are doing for ourselves, so that other people either may, because what we are telling them, first we demonstrate that we have not encountered any serious problems by making it easy for people to cross our border, in or out. We just demonstrate that. We haven't found any problems. What we have discovered are only benefits. And that's what we share with the people. We tell them, for us, in our experience, we have discovered the benefits. And we tell our brothers and sisters, why wouldn't you want these benefits yourselves? But that's where we stop, because we can't do anything for anybody else. So, yeah, we keep doing what we think is best for us, or even for the continent, that is within our means, and keep sharing it, and keep looking forward to working together with others in the continent to do really what is expected. That's the only thing we can do. Yeah. So otherwise, I mean, one of the benefits is that you can be there and tell the story. You didn't lose anything, we didn't lose anything. I think we gained that you were able to come to our country and do whatever you want to do, and you will leave when you want to leave, and you'll be come back sooner rather than later. And that's, so imagine if it was multiplied thousands or millions of times, the benefits the Africans would have in that.
Thank you, Excellency. Shall we take a question from Iramide, the front? The front.
Good day, Mr. President. My name is Iramide Aji. I'm an actor, digital creator from Nigeria. It's my first time in Rwanda, and I must say it's beautiful. Thank you for having myself and the other creators. I'll be speaking from the perspective of a creative, essentially, and tying it to the ASG theme for this year. If Meta-Africanism is pretty much about moving from simply recognizing our shared identities as Africans to more or less building together at this time and building meaningful connections, what does that exactly mean for the African creative industries? Essentially, if you have to put in place some policies or whatever changes as the president to further help African creators, African creatives in general, build sustainable careers, collaborate together, and essentially tell our stories ourselves on a global scale, what would that policy be? And I think because you just said something almost similar to my question in response to Miriam's one, because you don't want to think for the rest of Africans, I think you should just tell us from the perspective of your position as the president of Rwanda, what exactly would Rwanda do to help build a better ecosystem for African creatives? Thank you, sir.
Yeah. First, the African creatives exist, and that's why you are there and doing whatever you're doing. So you already have pretty much in ideas of what could be done. In fact, I would even flip the question and ask you, since you started the journey yourself, and it's a good thing that you really happen to be, and with all the work you've done or what you've gone through, what are the hindrances you've encountered on the way that you thought and said, no, but if this thing was not like this, maybe I would do better, I would be better in service of the creative industry. So bear that in mind as well, because that helps me to say, oh, so meaning the task is for both of us. You tell me from your experience, and I will respond to that with my responsibility at the policy level to make sure that the obstacles you meet maybe shouldn't be there, and therefore they should be removed. You see what I mean? Yes. This conversation is already useful. You are there, and like others who raise it, whether it is the AFCFTA or the lady from Morocco who was riding through this country, and the creative, and so you're all having a journey in your minds and in your experiences and whatever professions, and in trying to go a step further every day, there might be challenges that raise in you some questions you should put to us and say, but how? How come that the proud African continent that wants to achieve this and that, at least we make all this understood in the way of statements? How can you be the ones at the same time who create these obstacles? Really, this should be a very serious conversation, and you should not hesitate to raise it. Rather than for me to say, as the president, I will try and do this and do that. Maybe some of the things I even have in mind to do are not answering your questions. Yes, I want, give us what you think. and then let's talk about it. Let's find a way to, right? You want to give him a microphone, he wants to say something. Please, whoever has a microphone, where are you? No,
Thank you, sir. I think you have rightfully made a fantastic point. It's clear that it takes two to tango in this situation. Now, from my POV as a growing filmmaker, I work in one of the biggest film industries out of Africa, and that's Nollywood. I hope for a time when the talent that we have in Nollywood can transcend into more African countries. And I'm not even saying outside of Africa, the continent right now, because I think that we don't have a talent problem here in Africa. It's more of a connection issue. Now, what Rwanda is doing is beautiful, bringing creators from across the continent to connect, and I think we've collaborated more because we're now in the same space, and you're doing something as beautiful as the ESG initiative. If there's a request that I would make to make this easier, as regards connection from one African country to another, which helps creators better, would be that, I know that you've tried it before, because you said that you've tried advising people about the benefits of, hey, make the borders a little bit more easier for people to come in. And, you know, of course, you can't think for them. You've shown them the benefits, it's up to them to decide. We would just make a little bit more request that, please, for our sake, just maybe from initiatives like this, and of course the stories that we would tell as creators out there for people to see, just help us find a better way to
nudge them.
Yes, like, guys, I want you guys to see it. So well, maybe our presidents and policymakers would do better.
Yes,
thank you so much.
I'll try that and anything that can be. You know, one time I had an opportunity. I also had recently, there were some leaders from Nigeria. One time I met governors, came here. They came here, I think they had been organized by UNDP or something. They are the ones who asked from Nigeria. They came all the way here. They were over, there were about 16 over there, if I remember well. And they had the governors and not their representatives, they themselves came here. And they came here because I think through the interaction with the UNDP and others, they had learned of a number of things that maybe that could be useful to them in the governance area if they tried it. So I had a very long chat with them. I varied my time. What I did was to take them through where we have been and how we have come to be where we are by the time they visited. And I said, there are aspirations, people want to, come from one position to another, but it's all about how you can improve. It's always going forward and better. So I took them through everything I could think of. I said, for you, some of your states have bigger GDPs than Rwanda's. So it's not for you even an issue of resources. You have resources. But what do you want to do with your resources and how to the benefit of your different categories of people? Meaning, I don't control their GDPs, their budgets, their money. No, it is them who control it. So where do you want to put it? And that's why I was giving them what we are going through and where we put our money and why and so on and so forth. But also, governance is just not about that. It is also about some of the things we are talking about. Making it easy for people to do what they can and want to do. The ease of doing anything for people. I took them through that, and I also showed how deliberately we put some laws in place to actually facilitate that. But it's not the laws that are going to deliver, it's again the practice. The practice that includes accountability and different things. So I took them through all that. So therefore, the whole idea was, and by the way, we included how crossing of borders, from one country to another. And the other day, in another meeting here in Kigali, there was one of the great Nigerians, a very wealthy man, who told us a story, how he went to some country in Africa, they literally at the airport told him to go back, and this is a man, a wealthy man, worth billions. So. And even has investments in that country. But they turned him back at that airport. They only allowed the pilots, I think, to go and sleep because they had been flying for so many hours. I mean, why go through that, and why take somebody through that? What is the benefit? What is the principle behind it? So these are some of the things, and it is everybody's task. Those who want to do whatever they want to do, to keep voicing that and saying, please, don't stand in our way. What we are doing is not harmful to anybody, but beneficial to everybody. What is the answer going to be from those who create obstacles? I don't understand. So anyway, let's keep trying. let's each do our parts from whatever vantage point we are, but working together even more, we can make a difference. I'm sure the story of the lady from Morocco, so riding through, first of all, cycling across Africa is very impressive on its own. I mean, for somebody to try and put a roadblock for that, I mean, I don't know, it must be crazy. Yes. So, yeah, we can keep talking about it, but there are things that are self-inflicted, problems that are self-inflicted here on our continent, to say the least. Self-inflicted. There are problems we create for ourselves. But let's keep trying.
Thank you, sir. We'll take one more question. Scovia, please, go ahead.
Urakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
Before that, Scovia,
Mr. President.
Exchange nabonye hagati yawe na Minister Olivier yari ibiki? What happened? Interested kumenya huko nayo ukurikiranye nkagerageza kureba ikibazo kirimo nkakibura. So now I want you to, mbere yo kumbaza banza unsobanurire menye ibyabaye niki.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. Ikibazo cyabaye ko ntazi igifaransa neza ku rwego nyakubahwa Minisitiri yumvaga nkwiye kuba nkiziho, ngerageza gushyira ijambo rye mu Kinyarwanda kugira ngo abanyarwanda bumve, aje kunsubiza ko ntabikoze neza. Hari ku cyumweru
yakosoraga Ikinyarwanda
ni ukuvuga ngo hari message yari yanditse cyangwa ubutumwa mu Gifaransa, asubiza yavugaga kuri issue ya Congo, hari abo yari ibyo yasubizaga, tugerageza gushyira mu Kinyarwanda ngira ngo ntitwabivuga neza nk'uko igifaransa kibivuga tugenekereje.
Ariko se kuvuga neza hari icyo mwanyuranyijeho se cyo yavugaga?
Ntabwo twakimenye kugeza ubu kubera ko
ndavuga isi ushobora kuba yaravugaga ikintu mukagisobanura mu buryo butandukanye n'ibyo yavuze. Ubwo ni nko kuvuga ngo mwavuze ibyo atavuze, ariko hari no kuvuga ibyo yavuze wenda mu rurimi we yumva rudahagije. Biratandukanye.
Yego.
Icyo cya kabiri igihe nta kibazo mbonamo kuba wavuga ibyo navuze. N'ubu ngubu nimuva ugenda ugasobanura ibintu navuze cyangwa nashubije mu nzira iyo nabishyiragamo, ariko wenda ururimi rukagobwaho akantu gato, ntabwo ujye nabibonamo ikibazo. Ariko ugiye ugahindura ibyo navuze Yesu ukavuga ko navuze no, ubwo biba byahinduye isura. Aho niho nagira ikibazo. Niko byagenze or what happened?
Ntabwo twigeze duhindura icyo yavuze, nuko tutakivuze mu gifaransa ngira ngo cyanyacyo, kuko na message
utabisobanuye mu Kinyarwanda
ngo
gihwanye n'igifaransa cyiza yavuze. Noneho
ushaka
intambara z'ubusa kweri.
Hanyuma aza gusubiza, ndabyibuka hari ku cyumweru, ngira ngo hari nuko nari njyenyine iyo mba ndi kumwe n'undi aba yarangiriye inama itari igisubizo natanze, kuko naje mvuga nti ntiwigeze utubwira ikosa twakoze ngo turikosore, kuko we yagaragazaga ko dukwiye gusubira kwiga igifaransa, kandi koko sinkizi, ariko abo dukorana bamwe baba bagerageje. Ngira ngo naho habaye kutumvikana na nyuma ndisegura kuko ntari ku rwego wenda rwo gusubiza.
Ariko wiseguriraga iki?
Ko nashubije minisita ndi umunyamakuru muri urwo buryo. N'ubu ndacyasaba imbabazi.
Bishoboka ahubwo azagusaba imbabazi ariwe, kuko ibi bya protocol iby'abajanesi ntabwo birimo protocol. Yes, ndabona ushaka icyo kintu ndashaka kuko nabonye hari ugusaba imbabazi sinabyumva. Kudasobanura neza ariko nabyo bifite ikindi bivuze bibiri.
Neza ni ukuvuga ko ibyavugwaga mu gifaransa si byo byavugwaga mu Kinyarwanda. Biratandukanye. Si ukuvuga ko Ikinyarwanda cyari kibi. Oya. Ntabwo cyasobanuraga icyo igifaransa cyavugaga.
Byanyuranye bite?
It was not opposite. Sinibuka neza sinibuka, ariko icyo gihe twarabibonye twese tuti niba mutazi igifaransa nta mpamvu yo gukomeza kuvuga mu Kinyarwanda mwihimbira.
Ariko ubwo namwe mwagiye mu rurimi gusa ntimwareba content. Nge ndashaka kumbwira content.
Nyakubahwa unyemereye
buretse
content nuko
cyanyuranyijeho ni iki yavuze iki ku buryo kinyuranyije n'icyo undi yari yavuze.
Aho izo mvi zanjye zinaye kuko no ariko icyo nibuka icyo gihe kuko twese twabibonye icyo minisitiri nta makosa yakoze, avuga ati hari ibyo gihe navuze mwebwe musobanura mubwira abanyarwanda ibitari byo.
Yes, ariko ntabwo wavuga utyo gusa utavuga ibyo ari byo nawe.
Muri aka kanya mu mbabari nizo
urabivuga n'imbaraga ukagira ngo kuko hari substance, hari na form, content na form. Content ya misrepresentinze ni iyi, ariko the form bijyanye na language bishobora kuba bitari uko bikwiye kuba bimeze cyangwa uko byumva, ariko did it change the content?
Yes.
Uravuga yes, nakubaza ntabwo bizi.
Nibyo nibuka, ariko na minister nawe arahari.
Of course, n'ubundi iyo mbwira nkabaza minister na mbere hose. Yes, minister tubwire. Very important kuri jye nabonye abantu bahereka. Ariko nta protocol iri mu bibi bintu. Nabonye hari wasubiza ngo abwiye minister nabi bisa nabi ko tubazi.
Murakoze Your Excellency. Ntabwo byari ikibazo cya protocol, ntabwo byari n'ikibazo cyo gusubiza minister nabi. Nge nta kibazo nari mbifiteho. Ikibazo ni content. nari navuze bijyanye n'inama yabereye i Nairobi ya Africa Forward Summit twari twagiyemo.
Tujya ku substance nyine quickly.
Kuko guverinoma ya Kongo yari yavuze yuko ngo mu nama ngo bavuze ko u Rwanda rwabateye bakabibwira bari mu nama, kandi iyo nama ntabwo perezida wa Kongo yari ayirimo, yaje irangiye bazanye umukandida wabo muri francophonie.
So abanyekongo ibyo bavuze nibyo bitari byo.
Hanyuma ndabivuga muri tweet mu gifaransa mbabwira ko ibyo bintu mwavuze
ko abanyekongo ibyo bavuze
atari byo. Hanyuma rero mu kiganiro na Scovia barimo bagerageza gusemura, barabiquestioninga byose.
Bande
ibyo navuze barabiquestioninga yuko muri ikiganiro Scovia n'abandi banyamakuru basangiye stage muri mama w'u Rwagasabo. Hanyuma baranavuga yuko bavuga yuko ibyo navuze ahubwo bagiye kubibaza umuhanzi witwa Sherry Silver wari watumiwe ngo aze muri party yagombaga kuba after the meeting ya Africa Forward Summit. Ku buryo navuze yuko bitanakwiye yuko
ariko ibyo bavuze bitajyanye n'ibyo bavuze ni ibiki?
Nibyo ngibyo byuko Kongo yanenze u Rwanda mu nama, kandi Kongo perezida wayo ataranahari. Ibyo nibyo navuze, bo baranabiquestioninga.
Barabiquestioninze cyangwa babiripotinze ku buryo butari bwo?
Babiquestioninze ibyo navuze. Bavuga ko ahubwo baza no kubaza umuhanzi.
Babiquestioninze bavuga ko ibyo wavuze bitari byo, nicyo cyangwa
ko bitari byo, ko bitumvikana, ko ahubwo baza kubaza uwo muhanzi ko ari wewe uza kubisobanura.
Ikitarumvikanaga ngo nikize.
Nibyo nanjye nibaza, kuko ibyo navugaga byari clear, kuko Kongo yavugaga ko ngo batunenze ko mu nama ya Africa Forward Summit, kandi Kongo itari nahari. Baraje
ariko ibyo ni Kongo yabivuze.
Ibyo ni Kongo yabivuze, ngewe ndabinenga muri tweet mu gifaransa. Ahubwo bo barananenga bavuga ko bidasobanutse ibyo ndimo mvuga.
Bitasobanutse meaning what?
Ko ibyo mvuga nenga Kongo ko bitari clear, kandi ari nge wari uhari muri iyo nama. Ibyo navuze byari bisobanutse, kandi
ari ikintu kimisinga aho ngaho numva neza. Bakwandika bavuga ngo ibyo bavuze si byo, bavuze ibyo bo kuri bo bakuvugiye ibyo wavuze se bitari byo.
Oya, barabiquestioningaga yuko ibyo mvuga
bitumvikana.
Best ku bintu ntanumva, kubera ko it was clear ibyo navugaga byuko Kongo ntabwo yari mu nama, nishobora kuvuga.
Babiquestioninze bavuga se ngo Olivier arabeshya, ntabwo biri ari byavuze, cyangwa yavuze bashatse kuvuga ibyo wavuze ariko babivuga mu buryo butari bwo, batanga indi content or what?
Bavuga ko ibyo mvuga bitumvikana, ko ngiye ibyo mvuga nka Minister wa Foreign Affairs wari muri iyo nama, ko ibyo mvuga bitumvikana, ko ahubwo bagiye kubaza umuhanzi utari no muri iyo nama.
Umuhanzi se bamubarizaga iki?
Kubera ko yari yatumiwe muri party yabaye nyuma y'iyo nama. Hari party yabaye, hari umuhanzi wari watumiwe ngo bafashe gutegura iyo party, ngo nibo baza kubaza mu bintu byavugiwe mu nama y'abakuru b'ibihugu narindimo. Aho ngaho niho hari ikibazo.
Ariko ikindi kibazo muhitamo kubishyira ku rubuga muterana amagambo.
Nuko hari hashize n'iminsi mubwira ibyo batagiye basemura neza, mwandikira akamubwira ko babikora, nyuma bakongera bagasubira bakabidistortinga.
Ibyo byaje kuba noneho bitari interpretation. Ibyo bavuze gusa ko ibyo bavuze atari byo.
Ko atari byo, ko babiquestioninga.
It is very intriguing. What is it?
Nyakubahwa, murakoze kongera kumpa umwanya.
Abandi mwari kumwe icyo gihe ni bande mbese?
Ni abanyamakuru dukorana, ntabwo bari hano. Twari mu kiganiro dusangira
amagambo magufi turebe turangize.
Icyabaye, leta ya Kongo yavugaga ko bari bahari nk'uko nyakubahwa minisitiri yari yabavuguruje, nawe akavuga ko batari bahari. Noneho mu kiganiro, kuko abari talk show atari kuvuga ngo turasoma amakuru kwa kundi
ni
twihuta
ikiganiro mwakora
twagana ikiganiro noneho tubiteramo urwenya turavuga tuti se ko tutariyo nk'abanyamakuru Kongo ikavuga ko ihari u Rwanda minisita akavuga ko adahari turaza kubaza uwo muhanzi twabonye we yaranahara tubwira ngo yarashinzwe protokole kuko yagaragaye yifotoza muri iyo nama na perezida w'Ubufaransa ari nawe
mwibaza ngo noneho icyabaye niki
twibaza ngo niki tubavuga tuti turaza kubaza uwo ni utari ku ruhande rwa Kongo ntabe na minisita ashobora kutubwira ko yamubonye cyangwa atamubonye tubivuga dutyo turagenda nyakubahwa perezida wa Repubulika ngira ngo ikibazo cyaje kuba ubwo nyakubahwa minisita yazaga kuri Twitter akoresha imvugo igira iti Madame Scovia Mutesi ikiganiro cyanyu kiratera urujijo mu banyarwanda inyandiko yanjye yanditse mu rurimi rwumvikana ubutaha muzashaka umunyamakuru uvuga neza igifaransa asemura inyandiko nk'iyi uko bikwiye mbere y'uko muyiganiraho nibiba ngombwa muzabaze
ariko urumva mwese kugira ngo
muzambaze
uretse mufite ikibazo Olivier ko avuga ko minisita avuga ni nkaho bavuze ngo ibyo yavuze asubiza ko abanyekongo batari bahari mwavuze ko ni nkaho muvuga ngo abanyekongo bo baravuga ngo bari bahari wowe uravuga ngo ntibari bahari nibyo byateye urujijo
yego
okay ntabwo byaba ikibazo cy'igifaransa rero cyangwa ikinyarwanda kuko niba uvuga ngo mu iyi nama ntabwo bariya abantu bari bahari okay then wowe ukavuga ngo minisitiri ibyo avuga ntabwo ari byo bariya baravuga ngo bari bahari minisitiri aravuga ngo ntibari bahari icyo kikaba ari cyo kiba ikiganiro ntabwo ari ikibazo cya interpretation ikibazo cy'abantu bavuze nk'aho bahakana ko ibyo bavuze atari byo kubera ko wavuze ko batari bahari abanyekongo kandi wenda ntibari bahari ariko bo baravuga ngo ariko reka tubaze abanyekongo bo barabivuga nk'abari bahari ubanza bari bahari meaning barashaka kumenya niba wowe ibyo wavuze ko batari bahari ari byo ntabwo ari ikibazo cya interpretation ya language biri he aho ngaho ni ikibazo cyo kunyomoza kuvuga ngo minisita yatubwiye ko abanyekongo batari bahari reka tubaze uriya muntu wundi wari uhari tubwire ko kuko abanyekongo batari bahari ntabwo ari ikibazo cy'igifaransa cyiza cyangwa kibi ni ikibazo cyo guhakana icyo wavuze in whatever language you said it sinzi niba mubyumva ahangaha ikibazo cya interpretation ya language kivuye he cyangwa igifaransa kibi cyangwa ikinyarwanda kitumvikana bivuye he what is at issue here is to prove that either abanyekongo ibyo babivuze koko bari bahari cyangwa se babivuze babeshya ntibari bahari ariko we Olivier yavuze ko abanyekongo batari bahari so icyo ni ikibazo cya the substance of the argument is not the language so mwagihinduye ikibazo cya language gute
ntabwo twagihinduye ikibazo cya language
ndavuga we na minisita niwe mbwira ntabwo ari ikibazo cya language ngo uzajya ubwira abanyarwanda kuko niyo waza kuba yabyumvise igifaransa neza sitiri yajya kuvuga ngo Olivier yatubwiye ko abanyekongo bari bahari kandi batari bahari yatubwiye ko batari bahari kandi bari bahari kuko abanyekongo baravuga ngo bari bahari is that an issue of language ibyo mukabitereranaho amagambo mu media gute? Yes.
Mwakoze kutwemerera kuba dufite telefone. Nitwa Mutuyezo Oswald. Byose narabikurikiye ndetse nanjye nagize comment kiraho minister aranyandikira kuko navuze ngo bakwiye kuba babiganiriye mu gikari bitari ku Karubanda. Minister arambwira ati byari maze kuba byinshi. Nje uko nabikurikiye nkanabisesengura impamvu minister yazanye mu kibazo cy'igifaransa ni impaka ni ndende, ntabwo ari kiriya gice cyonyine. Hari ukundi babisemuraga ukumva harimo makosa. Ntekereza ko rero mubabaje njye mbona hari ababirigi nibo babazwa nuko
nta nubwo bababajwe rero na content n'ukuri abantu bababajwe na language.
Yego. Mu buryo basemuraga birashoboka ko ni isesengura ryanjye. Minister atekereza ati ubwo niyo conclusion bakoze ishingiye kuko baba batari kumva neza ubutumwa. Mpagurutse ngira ngo nkemure iki kibazo n'umuntu yandikiye arambwira ati ndabizi ko wabikurikiye, saba ijambo ukemura ikibazo. Noneho iyindi interpretation kari akantu ka Sheryl Silver Mutesikove yagakubisemo nk'uwiterera urwenya, ntabwo byari ibintu biremereye. Ariko minister aravuga ati mama Rwagasabo yarakurikirwa cyane, aba bakurikira bakeneye amakuru atomoye azirurujije.
Ariko amakuru yarara aho ngaho nayahe ko nta
kira kibazo cyari gikomeye ko Perezida wa Repubulika kumva abanyekongo bavuga ko Perezida yarahari kandi yaraje byarangiye, ndavuga Tshisekedi. So noneho minister yari itonza ashishimura message azingo arabwira abanyekongo noneho babazwa no kubona n'abantu baje bagasa nk'abayigabanyiriza ubukana, ariko ni ibintu bashoboraga gukemurira mu kikari. So ni ibyo rekana yo gutinda
ubwo bavuga kubikemura. Je ntabwo ndabona ikibazo cyari cyubanza, ariko mwarabuza akazi muri nkora gusa. Ariko n'aba ministers mwajya muri yo argument harimo iki ko ntaracyumva n'ubu. Albert wahoze kuvuga cyane muzirukomeye we substance aho ngaho yabaye yihe ko ntayumva, yazanye intambara mu bantu bakayiki batubazi.
Nashatse nantuza ndanayibonye wa mugani byatangiye ari uko abanyekongo ubwabo batangaje inkuru itari cyo kwa kundi ibyo okay. So noneho minister
arabasubiza babwira ati ibyo mwavuze sibyo, nta nubwo Perezida yarahari cyangwa
hageze. Exactly. Hanyuma muri interpretation noneho doko yavuze ati iki kiganiro cyanyu kiratera urujijo.
Urujijo rwatewe n'uruhe mbese bari go
urujijo mu Banyarwanda. Inyandiko yanjye yanditse mu rurimi rwumvikana, ubutaha muzashake umunyamakuru uvuga neza igifaransa. So ni interpretation y'igifaransa yari yanditse bo batangiye ku.
Ariko minister we iyajya kuri content agasobanura icyo bakosheje bikava mu rurimi, kuko issue ntabwo ari ururimi hano. Issue ni content yuko bamwe muri abo bantu badiscussingaga ari side ya minister, ari abanyekongo, ari abaganiraga, hariho wa Misiri presenting the facts.
Exactly.
Ntabwo ari ikibazo cya language ariko.
No, ikibazo kirimo kuko we icyo yashubije kuko niyo mpamvu minister avuga ati mukwiye gushaka abantu bazi basesemura igifaransa neza mu Kinyarwanda. So uko basesemuraga ntuza icyo igifaransa mu Kinyarwanda babwira the public audience.
Ubwo icyo yakemuraga ni minister nuko cyagomba gukemura ni ikintu kimwe gusa. Perezida yarari aho ngaho cyangwa ntiyarahari?
Ye nabwo yarahari.
Ibindi byo ururimi wabivugamo rwose, it doesn't matter. Ikimataringa ni fact yuko either abantu mu rurimi bavuga urwo rwose rwaba ari ruzima rutari ruzima baravuga ko Perezida yarahari kandi atarahari.
Yes.
Niho substance.
Sure.
ariko ibyo ngibyo uvuga ni nkaho argument iri ku language, it's not on the
No,
substance.
the argument is nk'itangazamakuru to in fact kubwira abantu ibitari byo, kandi nawe impamvu bibaye ni uko utumvise neza icyo gifaransa.
Ariko Albert urumva nawe ari na riviye nyine ufite ikibazo cyanyu ni language, ikibazo cyanyu ni substance.
The substance that is the wrong message ugeza ku banyarwanda.
Yihese iyihe yagejeje
yo questioninga ibyo minister yavuze.
Now question ibyo navugaga rero ubu noneho bitwayeho byari biri ya questioning ibyo minister yavuze. Now that becomes the substance kuri.
No, it's not exactly. Arahantu, Mr. President, Excellency. The problem is where ajango abanyarwanda bumve the substance uko yari imeze. Hanyuma mwitangazamakuru mbere kutangaza muri audience ukwiye kumenya ko ibyo ugiye kubabwira ari byo. So wasobanukiye nabi ukabwira the audience the wrong message.
Yababwiye.
In fact, they were questioning even ibya minister.
Why not?
Okay.
Why can't the minister's statement be questioned?
No, okay, why not? Fine, let's take it. You question the minister. Fine. So, you
should be asking what I'm asking. Now, if you call a journalist conforming a minister yavuze, it's not right.
Okay, in fact, tuvuge nkanjye wabikurikiye icyo gihe kubera ko narinzi inkuru uko yari iteye. For me also I was saying kabisa mugenzi wanjye mu itangazamakuru ari haratangaza inkuru itariyo. That is my personal.
Ariko yatangaje iki ko ya questionings gutangaza no questioninga no kubaza uvuga ko ushaka kumenya ukuri, it's not ntabwo gutangaza.
In fact ni nkaho yemezaga ko wenda ibyo abanyekongo bavugaga byari byo, ariko kandi yashoboraga kubikura
berecisha make. haraho ya byanditse muri iyo language, haraho ya questionings byaba mu cyongereza mu gifaransa cyangwa mu kinyarwanda.
Je uko ni minister avuze ibintu wari uhari nk'umunyamakuru nagendera kuri ibyo ngibyo.
Kuki umunyamakuru wari wese abishatse atavuga ati ngiye ko biri ariko byabaye kubera ko undi yavuze ko atari byabaye, yaba ari umunyekongo cyangwa undi. So ishu ni yihe none? Ubwo we Olivier wumvaga ikibazo ari iki? Mwagiye mu mpaka z'iki ko noneho bigenda biba even
Murakoze Your Excellency. Byatangiye kuri ishu yo gusemura mu kinyarwanda kuko bari mu kiganiro nk'abanyamakuru bane uko bagendaga basoma iyo tweet mu gifaransa bagerageza kuyisemura ariko
bayisemuye banyuranya n'iki specifically. Ndashaka ko tuba specific bikava mu bintu bya rusange gusa. Barabisemuye batanga wrong impression y'ugute n'iki batanze distortings muri
nk'urugero nabaha kuri ibyo bya Kongo ko yari hari cyangwa itari hari ku buryo hari gira ngo Scovia yagezana navuga ngo ariko ngo wenda bashobora kuba bari bahari ariko perezida atarahari, perezida wa Kongo, ariko Kongo yari hagarariwe. Kandi njye navuze yuko the chair was empty kandi byari byo. Chair ya DRC nta muntu numwe wari uriho, nta n'abantu bari bariho.
Fine. Kubera ko wavuze akavuga atyo icyo wajyaga kumusubiza ni ukumubwira ngo no actually nta n'umwe wari uhari gusa izindi ntambara zasubiza iki.
nibyo nari navuze muri iyo tweet yuko the chair was empty
nibyo ariko erega nta muntu wowninga facts cyangwa ukuri ngo iyo yavuze ntawe ugira icyo abaza wabivuze ni nabyo ariko somebody expressinze ko ashaka kumenya ko ibyo ari byo. What is wrong with that?
Ikibazo cyari gihari nuko it was even questioning a fact. It was not even my opinion. It was a fact.
Questioning what? No, it was your opinion, much as it was a fact. Kuko niwe wari wabizanye. Your opinion can be a fact, much as it may not be a fact. Your opinion is not always a fact. Nobody, this is why I'm telling you, nobody owns a fact. And that's why journalists, as we know it, nubwo mujya mutunenga ahubwo twebwe ntabwo numva ko iyo umuntu yavuze ikintu kubera ko ari minister byanavuzwe ko ari minister, so nobody says anything kubera ko byavuzwe na minister. How? So your exchange is flawed. It's not right. You didn't even, if you really wanted to act even as a minister, you wouldn't have had this exchange like the way you did. Niba ukugiye kujya udiringa n'aba journalists, then there is a problem. So byabanje kuba ko ari interpretation ya French n'ikinyarwanda kuko ni nabyo wanditse ni nkaho babubwiraga ko bakwiye kuba bazi igifaransa kizima kitari icyo so byavuye no kuri substance byagiye muri ibyo ngibyo birimo iki nka minister cyo bibonamo ni iki none.
It was just to ensure yuko abanyarwanda bahabwa the right information kubyerekeye ibyabaye gusa.
The right information iva mu bibazo bibazwa. If they are asking you and you can substantiate what you are saying, abanyarwanda they are benefiting. Another time actually they may question you and find what you said was not right. Still abanyarwanda will benefit. Because Olivier does not have a monopoly of facts. Do you?
No, I don't, sir.
Hey, so. Why would you behave in exchange as if you own the facts? Na Albert wagusupportingaga bimura namubaza ko bati nabyibagiwe ati ntabwo numva mbizi ubwo se what is the argument? Uvaneho kajagari muzima. You ask what you actually what concerned me why I raised it. I saw him her apologizing and I thought she didn't have to apologize. Apologize for what?
Nasabye imbabazi kubera ko ndi umucuruzi mfite televiziyo minisitiri kuvuga ko tutize dufite ibintu bitameze neza nshobora gutakaza isoko nagombaga kujya mu ruhande rumeze rutya ariko
kuri jewe waritakaza wa apologizing when you apologize
babona nasabye imbabazi nabo bambabarire
there was absolutely no reason to apologize. None. In fact, Olivier, minister should have apologized to have even himself gone into exchange with the journalist over this nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. Okay, go ahead.
Urakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. Ni Discovery Mutesi nyine Inkoramama Rwagasabo. Ikibazo cyane gishingiye ku bijyanye n'amategeko ahari yemerera abakozi ku murimo, ariko dufite ikibazo muri iyi minsi cyaho abakozi bakorera ibigo byigenga private sector aho usanga batabaha amasezerano y'akazi, abo bahaye amasezerano y'akazi nabo ntibabaha ibyo amategeko asaba, ndetse rimwe na rimwe ntibabishyure, binagenda bikagera no muri company za security aho ushobora umuntu kumara amezi 3 adahembwa kandi mu by'ukuri usanga anahembwa amafaranga make cyane ari munsi y'60,000. Ikibazo ni ukureba uburyo abashinzwe kubahiriza amategeko bafasha abakorera muri private sector kugira ngo abakozi bakoreramo nabo bahemberwe ku gihe.
Ibyo niko bikwiriye kuba bimeze. Bibaho njya mbona na hano mu mujyi hari ubwo abantu bagera batya bajya kwibarabara kubera ko abantu babakoresha batabishyuye. Ntabwo ari byo. Abantu we shall sort it out. Since ababishinzwe hano niba hari ba ministers harabara. It should not happen. Hakwiye kubaho accountability no kuri abo bantu bakoresha abantu ntibabishyure. It has been happening several times. Bimaze iminsi bibaho. Minicom uri hano cyangwa n'abandi abantu kutishyurwa bikarinda bivamo inshuro bibaye murabizi. You have seen it. Minister of Local Government mwarabibonye bibaho cyane. Kuki bikwiye kubaho? Kandi iyo byabayeho inkurikizi kuba tabishyura baba bakwiye kuba babishyura nizi. Anyway, icyo kibazo kirumvikana. It will be sorted out one way. Bizakemuka ku buryo bumwe cyangwa ubundi.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nashakaga gusoreza ku kijyanye naho ibiciro bigeze ku isoko. Bigaragara ko bihenze kandi si mu Rwanda gusa ni ku isi, ariko hari ibyiciro by'abantu bakigowe ndetse bakaba ari n'abakozi ba leta ku mishahara, abanyamabanga nshingwabikorwa b'utugari, abaganga ndetse na bamwe mu bakora mu nzego.
Ibyo bibazo birazwi kandi bihoraho, bizanahoraho. Habura ibintu bihora bihinduka. Ntabwo hanze ku isoko bijyanye n'ubukungu bw'igihugu ari ku miterere yabwo ubwabwo cyangwa bifite bituruka hanze bitera ibibazo igihugu, byo bihoraho. Gushaka ko tubikemura gusa. Ibyo uvuga byose birazwi, ndetse niyo mpamvu habaho rimwe na rimwe kugerageza gukemura bimwe dufasha. Urabizi iyo ubona leta ifata ibyemezo igatanga subsidies mu Kinyarwanda ni iki?
Nkunganire.
Buriya urabizi ko biriho. Baba bunganira umuturage bazi ko nabo kandi ntibamwunganira bihagije, bamwunganira bijyanye n'ubushobozi, kuko hari ubushobozi igihugu kiba gifite kikunganira abantu uko gishoboye cyabitanga byose. Ibyo rero uvuga byo rwose birahari. Urebe mu gihugu hari ibijyanye na igiciro cy'ibintu byose n'igiciro kigenda ku ifaranga wagujije, cyangwa ibijyanye n'ibiciro ku masoko by'ibyo kurya. Urabizi ko byazamutse. Byose ibyo bibazo birahari, ariko buri munsi ntabwo abantu bahwema gutekereza uko bikemuka, ariko ntibishobora gukemuka ku buryo uko buri muntu wese abishaka, kuko ntibishoboka, ntibidashoboka. Ariko imbaraga zo kugerageza gukemura ibibazo ziratangwa bihagije rwose. Niyo mpamvu ubona ku giciro cya peteroli na diesel bagira batya, tugashaka uko tworohereza abantu, bikanga bikajya muri transport, igiciro cyayo ukuntu bizamuka. Ariko buriya tudakoze izo interventions, tutagiye tugerageza gushaka uko kunganira abantu, biba byikubye nka 2 cyangwa na 3.
munyemere ndasoreza ku kijyanye n'isuku. Umujyi wa Kigali uyu muri iyi minsi hari ikibazo cy'aya mazu manini yuzuye maremare dukoreramo cyangwa se n'ibindi bisa nkaho wagira ngo ntihubatse uburyo bwo kurekura amazi ayivaho cyangwa se umwanda ku buryo bigera ku mugoroba ukumva mu mujyi wa Kigali ntabwo hafite impumuro mbi, mu by'ukuri ugasanga ntabwo hahuye n'ishusho umujyi wa Kigali cyangwa u Rwanda ku bijyanye n'isuku.
Icyo ni ikibazo kigomba
Urakoze nyakubahwa.
Yes, kizakemuka. Minister wa Local Government wacyumva na Mayor n'abantu ba infrastructure. Mwe ntimubizi, ugomba kubyumvira hano mubibwiwe bari mubizi kuki bidakemuka. Ugomba gukemuka uburyo bumwe cyangwa ubundi. Gukemuka babwira abantu kubaka cyangwa gukora ku bikorwa cyangwa se abantu hakaba penalties zijya mu gukemura ibyo bibazo. Nabyo vuba na bwangu bikurikira.
Thank you, Excellency. With your permission, may we take a 15-minute break?
I don't mind.
Thank you, sir.
Then we start with somebody here.
When we come back?
We'll come back anyway. Let's have
Yeah.
15 minutes and then we can go until tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
aho tukirimo kubagezaho ikiganiro Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame arimo kugirana n'abanyamakuru nkaba nkiri Divin wayo. W'igihugu akaba yabanje gufata umwanya muto ashimira abanyarwanda avuga ko muri iki gihe isi yugarijwe n'ibibazo bitandukanye bigira ingaruka no ku Rwanda, ariko abanyarwanda bakomeje kugaragaza ubudaheranwa, bakomeje kugaragaza ko ari abantu bashobora guhangana n'ibibazo bakabicamo ndetse bakabisohokamo gitwari. Perezida Paul Kagame rero umwanya yafashe mbere y'uko abanyamakuru batangira kugira icyo bamubaza ahanini wari uwo gushimira abanyarwanda ku buryo bagaragaza mu gushaka ibisubizo, mu kwishakamo ibisubizo, ariko nanone ashimangira ko n'ibindi bizima igihugu kigeraho, imihigo igihugu kigenda cyesa ishoboka kubera ko abanyarwanda nyine bafite uwo mutima n'izo mbaraga zo gukora no gukorera hamwe no gufatanya n'ubuyobozi kugira ngo igihugu kigere aho cyifuza. Umukuru w'igihugu rero akaba yafashe uwo mwanya wo kubanza gushimira abanyarwanda no muri iki gihe uburyo bakomeje gukorana umurava mu kwiteza imbere ndetse no gukemura ibibazo bitandukanye bishobora kugaragara. Ikindi kibazo nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika yagarutseho mu rurimi rw'icyongereza ni ikibazo yabajijwe ku bijyanye n'amasezerano y'isoko rusange rya Afurika n'uburyo kuyashyira mu bikorwa bigenda bigura intege. Perezida Paul Kagame akaba yagaragaje ko mu by'ukuri aya masezerano y'isoko rusange rya Afurika ari intambwe ikomeye Afurika yateye, ndetse kuyashyira mu bikorwa bikaba byumvikana ko ari yo ntambwe igomba gukurikiraho, kuko gusinya amasezerano no gushyiraho isoko ubwabyo bitarangirira aho ngaho cyangwa ubwabyo bidatanze igisubizo, ko igisubizo nyirizina ari uburyo iryo soko rigomba gukora rikanatanga igisubizo ku bibazo byatumye rishyirwaho. Avuga ko byumvikana ko abantu bashobora kutishimira uburyo birimo kugenda bigura intege, uburyo gushyira mu bikorwa aya masezerano bigenda bigura intege, ariko avuga ko intambwe ikomeye yatewe yari yo gusinya aya masezerano no kwemera ko iri soko rijyaho, ariko kandi ko kuribyaza umusaruro kuko abanyafurika bagahahirana bagakorana ubucuruzi nta nkomyi aricyo kigamijwe, kandi ko bidakwiriye gukomeza gutinda. Perezida Paul Kagame kandi akaba yanasubije ku bindi bibazo yagiye abazwa, cyane cyane ndibanda ku byo yagiye agarukaho yabashijwe mu ndimi z'amahanga by'umwihariko mu rurimi rw'icyongereza. Ariko Perezida Paul Kagame akaba by'umwihariko yanasubije ku kibazo kirebana n'inzoga z'inkorano n'uburyo kirimo gukemuka. Akaba yagaragaje ko mu by'ukuri ari ikibazo gikomeye ubwacyo kubera ingaruka gifite ku buzima bw'abantu. Perezida Paul Kagame akaba yagaragaje ko izi nzoga zirimo gucibwa abantu icyo bemeranya bose ari uko zangiza ubuzima bw'abantu. Avuga ko hari abantu bakaba mu ijana zimaze kwica, ndetse avuga ko ibyo ari ibintu bigaragarira amaso ya buri wese. Ariko ikindi Perezida Paul Kagame yakomojeho ni uko usibye abo bapfa mu gihe gitoya abantu bashobora kubona, hari n'abo bigenda byica buhoro buhoro. Akavuga ko rero izi nzoga n'ibiyobyabwenge muri rusange atari ikibazo gikwiriye kureberwa, ko kukirebera byaba bivuze ko ubuyobozi butari maso cyangwa se ubuyobozi nabo bireba cyane cyane umuryango mpuzamahanga mu by'ukuri bitanga igisubizo n'umuturambye kuko kugeza amagingo aya ngaya nta kugaragaza ubushake bwo gukemura ikibazo bahereye mu mizi. Avuga ko umuryango mpuzamahanga na Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Kongo aribo ba mbere babazwa iby'iki kibazo, ariko icyo yongeye gushimangira nuko u Rwanda rwo rudakwiye kwikorezwa umutwaro w'iki kibazo kubera ubushake rufite n'inshingano nk'igihugu rwo kurinda umutekano warwo ndetse n'abarutuye. Avuga ko u Rwanda rwifuza amahoro kandi ko ruzakomeza kuyaharanira, ariko ko kurinda umutekano n'ubusugire bwarwo byo bitagibwaho impaka. Icyo yagarutseho nuko gufatira ibihano u Rwanda ntacyo bikemura, ahubwo ari ukongera ibibazo mu bindi. Avuga ko mu by'ukuri iki ari ikibazo abantu bakwiriye kumva ubukana bwacyo bakacyumva mu mizi kugira ngo gikemuke, ariko ko mu gihe umuryango mpuzamahanga utari wagira icyo ukora cyangwa se mu kugikemura ukagikemura nabi, u Rwanda rwo ruzakomeza gukora ibirureba. Yavuze ko abarwanyi ba FDLR birirwa bataha buri munsi batanga ubuhamya bw'uburyo iyi FDLR ikora n'uburyo ikorana na leta ya Kongo n'uburyo ari ikibazo ku umutekano w'u Rwanda. Avuga ko abahagarariye ibihugu n'imiryango mpuzamahanga bagiye batumirwa imuto yubahiriza. Ariyo mpamvu ikibazo hagati y'ibihugu byombi mu mibanire yabyo kidakemuka. Hari kandi ikibazo yabajijwe ku mushinga w'umuherwe w'umunyanigeriya Dangote, umushinga ukomeye mu gihugu cya Kenya. Avuga ko uyu mushinga u Rwanda rwifuza kuba rwawugiramo uruhare, ariko Perezida Paul Kagame ashimangira ko iby'uyu mushinga n'ibiganiro birebana nawo ni uruhare u Rwanda rushobora kubigiramo hakiri ibiganiro, kandi ibiganiro bikiri mu ntangiriro, ariko ashimangira ko u Rwanda rufite ubushake bwo kugira uruhare muri uyu umushinga. Ikindi tutabura gusorezaho ni ikirebana n'uburyo bwo kwishyira hamwe no kwihuza kwa Afurika, cyane cyane mu bijyanye n'imigenderanire, uburyo abantu bambuka umupaka umwe bakava mu gihugu kimwe bajya mu kindi. Umukuru w'igihugu akaba yavuze ko mu by'ukuri u Rwanda rwo rugerageza gukora ibishoboka, cyane ko rwerekanye akamaro kabyo kuko kwihuza kwa Afurika no koroshya urujya n'uruza. Akaba rero yashimangiye ku Rwanda rwo ruzakomeza gukora ibirureba. Hanyuma Jackie Lumbasi, turacyari kumwe mu rurimi rw'icyongereza, wabwira muri make abadukurikiye iby'umukuru w'igihugu yagarutseho cyane cyane mu rurimi rw'icyongereza. Over to you, Jackie.
Urakoze cyane, Diva. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you're watching or listening to this conversation. Thank you so much. We will be going back to our live production as the President is walking in.
Jackie, ngirango iminota yadushiranye, reka tureke abadukurikiye bakurikire ikiganiro nyakubahwa Perezida Paul Kagame akomeza kugirana n'abanyamakuru. Turagaruka ikiganiro kirangiye.
Welcome back, Your Excellency. With your permission, we may resume the conversation. Please put up your hand if you have a question. Oswaki.
Urakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Oswald Mutuyezu, mura kuri Radio 10. Aho nitwa Oswald Oswaki. Ndagira ngo bazi ikibazo kirebana n'ibikorwa remezo iby'amazi n'iby'amashanyarazi. Urebye intambwe yatewe kuva u Rwanda rwavuka bundi bushya ni nini cyane, nko ku mashanyarazi arabona nje ntero rwenyine. Uruganda rw'ibyuma rw'i Musanze rukoresha megawati zingana n'izo u Rwanda rwari rufite muri 1994, megawati 40. Ariko nubwo amashanyarazi ahari anyuzamo akabura, hakaba blackout. Ni iki kizakorwa kugira ngo amashanyarazi aboneke ubudacika, bityo abashoramari bayakeneye, abaturage bakeneye babe bizeye 100% ko iki atari ikibazo? Ni kimwe nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika n'amazi, ibikorwa by'amazi byarubatswe ariko ubona umuvuduko ukwiyongera kw'abaturage, ukwiyongera kw'amasite mashya yo gutura bigenda imbere y'ingano y'amazi. Muri iyi mpeshyi ho byabaye ibindi nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, ni iki kibura kugira ngo amazi ajye ari menshi no mu mpeshyi tuyabone? Ikinababaza nuko mu gihe cy'imvura asenya akica, akongera imikoki, ibibanza bihenze by'ikigaruka ugasanga habaye ikintu cy'igikoki kinini, abakire amazu bubaka ntibashyireho uburyo bufata amazi. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, mwagira icyo mubivugaho mukatwizeza wenda ko hari igihe kizagera bigakemuka burundu? Murakoze.
ngira ngo mu byo utangiye uvuga usa naho bisobanuye icyo kibazo. Bavuze aho twahereye ko hari hameze, hagomba kuba hatandukanye n'ubu ngubu ko hameze. Ni ukuvuga ngo ni investments zigomba gukorwa, ariko nk'uko nigeze kubivuga nsubiza ikindi kibazo, ibyo twifuza gukora byo urabizi ni byinshi, ariko amikoro ahari ntabwo angana nabyo. Duhora dushaka ko amikoro yiyongera kugira ngo twongere mu bikorwa, ari iby'amazi ari iby'amashanyarazi. Biriya bindi bavugaga bimwe sa mikoro yandi akenewe igitangaza, usibye gukoresha noneho ibyo dufite. Management y'ibintu, hari n'amazi nyine y'imvura agira cyakahitana ibintu rimwe na rimwe. Hari ubwo hari ibishobora gukorwa n'abantu ku giti cyabo cyangwa na leta bafatanyije, cyane biri mu bushobozi bwacu kugira ngo bibe ariko rimwe na rimwe ntibikorwe nk'uko bikwiriye. Iyo ni ibintu bihoraho. Ni ukureba rero uko leta yongera ingufu, yongera ubushobozi, ariko yongera no gukurikirana kureba ko ntabwo twahora dufite impamvu ituma tudakora n'ibyo dufitiye ubushobozi, kandi ni byinshi ibyo dufitiye ubushobozi ariko bidakorwa. Urumva ko bigomba kuba bituruka mu bantu, mu nzego, ariko icyo gihe rero hagomba gukurikiranwa nibura kugira ngo ibishoboka ibyo dufitiye ubushobozi bikorwe, ibyo tudafitiye ubushobozi bushakwa nabwo bishoboye kwihuta n'icyo cyifuzo. Rero urebye nta ibyo wavuze ni ibibazo byo bihoraho imyaka yose, ariko tugomba guhora dushakira abantu bakora ibintu uko bikwiye, babikorera igihe, bakoresha amikoro ahari, adahari hari n'uburyo nanone bwo gukomeza gushaka ayo mikoro. Ibyo rero niho natwe niho abanyarwanda bapimira kumenya uko abayobozi babo babakorera cyangwa leta yabo bakorera. Igihe kigeze turishyura, turabyishyura, nabyo byakongerwagamo imbaraga, abaturage bakabitubaza koko ndetse bamwe bakadusezerera bakavuga ko tutakoze ibihagije kandi byari bishobotse buriya bagira igihe cyabo bakwiye kuba bifatiramo bakaduhana.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take the next question from Jackie.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Jackie Lumbasi from RBA. Seeing as we have a good representation of the continent in the room, Your Excellency, you have always argued that the African continent is not short of resources or capable people. Sometimes our problem is how we view ourselves, how we think of ourselves. And you even mentioned earlier, some of those problems are self-inflicted. Your Excellency, Rwanda is set to host the Africa Mindset Reset Forum. As we host this forum, I'm wondering, in your opinion, not to speak for any other person, in your opinion, what is that mindset that you want to see Africa change? And when we change it, what do we replace that with? Thank you, Your Excellency.
You want to preempt my discussion? Why don't you wait just another few hours, and tomorrow we'll be together. I'll tell you what I think, so that I avoid repeating myself, right? Actually, part of it I have already said when I was answering some questions earlier. But the mindset, as we know it, is, people talk about planning, they talk about policy, they talk about vision. All those are very, very important. But the mindset seems to be that glue that connects all of them. And the mindset makes these components work well together. So let me leave it at that. The rest you'll hear from me tomorrow. But mindset is important, and Africa has to do something about it. It has to think of how our mindset changes, and we leverage all the opportunities we have and capacities. They are there. But the mindset lacking creates a lot of problems for us. Yeah, you can have somebody, imagine, you can have even a country, let's say like ours. The leadership, the behavior of that leadership, matters a lot in how do we deliver on certain aspirations or promise. Remember long ago, just a quick example here, well, like in many other places, but let me talk about here. Many years ago, we really had the people, including those like in your category, those who are here, who would not do much that they could have done, just because they think it is somebody else's responsibility, or worse still, they think somebody will come from somewhere outside of our borders to come and help, or to come and remind you what you have to do. And then you could find leaders really so deficient in this area where they would just, and adoring others for what she or he could have done himself. That's a terrible thing about mindset. Even when all the means are there, you still want somebody to remind you what you should be doing, or to instruct you, or you even feel you are accountable to the other one. I mean, about your own business, which really amounts to a shame in a way. So let me stop it here.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
We'll take the next question at the front, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Israel Laye, and I am a broadcaster. I've been working as a broadcaster for 27 years, but I'm here at the behest of InfluencerAfrica.com because we brought the content creators to Rwanda at the behest of ASG. And I want to say thank you for making it possible for us to be in this room. My question has to do with ASG as a co-founder of the Africa School of Governance. I want to understand what success will look like for you, as in for the establishment of ASG, what success will look like for you, let's say 5 or 10 years from now.
Yeah, success is defined by the very things we talk about almost on a daily basis. So success for me is in some layers. The first layer is here. I'm talking about Rwanda. That's my main task. The other success is derived from knowing that Rwanda is not an island. It's part of the region, it's part of the continent. Rwanda's success without the success of others doesn't make much sense to me. I want to succeed where others are succeeding too. And, but therefore it means addressing those problems, some of which you have just mentioned here. Let's say we talked about trade, we talked about the continental free trade area, which should allow people to freely move across borders and goods and so on and so forth. So success for me is to see it working. On one part, it is working. For one layer, that is mine, the Rwandan layer, because we tried our best to say, okay, people, you should trade with us. We are making free, this movement free across our border, and we are allowing goods to come in, and so you should allow others to come to you as well, and each other. That's the way we should treat everybody. So success is about this, it's about transformation. We talk about improving the livelihoods of our people. But every day, whether you're crossing here or wherever, you see things that tell you there is still demand for that to happen, and probably faster. So that is, and the whole idea of SGs, that African part, it's just to say, please, can we come together? Can we study together? Can we act together? Can we deliver together? Can we benefit together? So the whole idea of having such an institution is really to remind ourselves of our honorable but heavy task of making progress. Success is about making progress. Things you have identified that matter to that success, and there must be a way even of measuring that. So, in a nutshell, for me, that is how and if the institution can be part of that, or act as a catalyst, at least to deliver, as many other institutions elsewhere might do the same, then I'll be happy that we'll have made our own contribution.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question. Vincent?
Urakoze Excellency, Vincent Gasana, KT Press. Maybe I should start by begging Your Excellency's pardon because I seem to ask more or less the same question whenever I get the opportunity. But it is a recurring theme, and we're back on the DRC crisis. So it is beginning to look incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to avoid the conclusion that the influential, powerful nations of the West are intent on directing attention away from the underlying causes of the crisis in the DRC. It's gone as far as a rather astonishing comment within the latest group of experts report that Rwanda, quote unquote, sponsors armed groups. They never say which ones they are. They are brazenly pretty much projecting what the DRC does onto Rwanda. Now, in order to avoid looking at the underlying causes, Rwanda is being scapegoated. So really, when you have these powerful nations thinking of nothing of going into the UN Security Council and looking away from the actual causes of a crisis, I'm wondering, Your Excellency, what is it that is left for Rwanda to do beyond repeating the facts about on the grounds, repeating the truth? What else can Rwanda do to ensure that we come back to actually looking at what the causes, what the crisis is about? And immediately, if I may, sir, very quickly, we hear a great deal about African solutions to African problems. Now, the DRC crisis is one of the gravest on the continent. But Africa, the organization, the institutions that should be looking at this, seems to be absent in action. So again, is there something that can be done to bring the solutions back to where they belong, and rather than outsourcing them to people who seem to have deaf ears to what really the solutions to the crisis are? Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Well, I think it's all well put, and just to say, what does Rwanda do about all this? First, survive and thrive. We have to make sure under whatever circumstances we stay intact. We still can survive all this and live by our right to live. Our right to live cannot be taken away by anybody, including the powerful West. cannot take it away and from us. And so we have to make sure we stay together. We stay, as I said earlier, doing what is right that we can do. But you've put it so well. I mean, you can't help but to wonder why this problem that has been there for these 3 decades, these problems don't go away, despite so much in terms of interest and from all over the place. And yeah, but we shall remain the course and keep contributing to what can find a solution, help us find a solution. And I mean, some of the things you've said, and I'm glad you are the one who said it, not me. Because when it is me, then it is another problem. But I build on what you've just said so accurately. And let's say if you look at the composition alone of the so-called group of experts, the composition has a connection with the history, has a connection with the history of this problem for probably centuries. So these are the people who are supposed to be understanding the root causes of things we have to deal with. And they frame it like the root causes are just recent. Something that has a root cause in a century that has passed is portrayed as if the root cause was just 5 years ago. And there are people, even when you are reasoning with them, by the way, and saying, no, this is a fact, you can cross-check, this is a fact. And then they will say, no, but the group of experts are saying this. They refer to their people who have already written, framed a narrative that people must believe, not to address the problem, but to address it the way they want. You see? So, and it will go back and forth, we keep explaining, what you see, look at this is the one, this is that, this is one thing later, and you demonstrate it, and even give evidence. Like I told you, there are people in Mutobo who testify to journalists, to government officials who come from abroad, and they tell you the story. It's not one, it's not two, it's like hundreds of testimonies. But they will still come back to what they want. Everything will be rubbish, they put aside, and they'll bring you back to what they want you to follow. So it's difficult for me to say, what can I do? To say, do I change the understanding of the problems that affect me, or the underlying facts relating to that, and agree with them so that I survive them? So is that an option? For us, we are left with the very narrow choices to pick from what we do. The choice is just to say, well, this is a fact. The cause is this. We are the ones concerned. We can tell you what we feel. So we say, this is where we are, and just go and do whatever you want. And that's how people go and do whatever they want, because even as I said earlier, it doesn't have to be addressing the problem. No, it's just sometimes it is either arrogance or wrong exercise of power that people have, and so they'll go back and sanction because you didn't agree with their falsehood. So meaning they are arm twisting you to bring you to agree the wrong thing that they're. So what do we do? So we just stay the course and keep explaining, keep doing our best, and you can see here you have, let's say, two parties to the problem. Let me say that. One is actually less responsible for the problem being there. The other one is directly responsible. So the powerful will come and say, you know what? We want this responsible person, even if he's wrong, but we want him to be the one seen as the right one. And you argue, you present your case, but they say, okay, if you don't see it that way, we will sanction you. So they will sanction the one who is less responsible, so that the one who is more responsible benefits the way they want, or benefits them the way they want. There is nothing you can do about that, except if these people decided to change their mind or the way they look at the problem. So for you, what you do is you just hold yourself together and try to survive everything being thrown at you. That's it. Otherwise, it cannot solve the problem. That you threaten me, you even try to do harm to me, or you try to do this, and so that somebody is broken and delivers whatever they want, even if it is wrong. So we just make sure we are not broken. That's it. It's our duty to make sure we don't get broken. And do the best thing. So what else can we do? What was the second part of your question was?
Yes, the African organizations outsourcing.
Unfortunately, the African solution to African problems hasn't really worked for a long time. It has become African problems added to African problems. Yeah, for me, that's what it's African problems for African problems. That's what we get. And some Africans are happy doing that, happy being part of it. And of course, then you see the other non-African players who are powerful. They are enjoying the, they enjoy everything out of that. So these are things that we live every day, we see every day, and that's the life. And there has to be a way of continuing to find a way to live people's lives. We have to. Rwandans, we have gone through so much of this kind. I'm not saying that we are used and therefore let that continue. No, I'm only saying our history and the problems thereof have just shaped a situation where we have to try and cope every day. But we always have to do our best, and we will. And yeah, it's one day it is here, another day it is somewhere else, and so we keep going. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. Diana?
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Diana Iriza, and I am the correspondent for TRT World based in Istanbul, Turkey. Your Excellency, Kigali city is developing rapidly, it's growing, but for many ordinary Rwandans, especially the young Rwandans, are being kept stuck by the real estate business. For many of Rwandans here, finding it difficult to own a decent home. Do you have any concerns regarding this? Do you think we are building a city that could be unaffordable to most Rwandans, and what do you think should be done for this to change?
What should be done is what we are doing. Of course, if you, as you are saying, it's growing, isn't it? The city is growing, the population is growing, the demands are growing of everybody. We are trying to cope. I can't tell anybody lies that, yeah, the next year when you come back, you'll find I have solved this problem, the one you have asked. No, I will be telling lies. But you will certainly find progress. You will find growth. You'll find the way we address these problems. If you look at the continued growth of our economy, and we are trying to find a way that makes that growth contribute to the transformation and the well-being of people. I don't think there is any moment you will come back here, even after 3 years or 4 or 5. You come and you find there is no problem here. No. I'm sure even in the cities where you said you come from, where you are working, there are similar, yeah, but if you went to, you're employed by who? From? This is, if you go to your employees, to your employers, and ask, you'll find they have similar problems as I have. There's not a city in the world or around, or a country where you'll not find such a problems. But you'll always find some countries or cities making more progress than others. There's no doubt. So we are only trying to make sure that we make progress, as much progress as we can. And you are talking about real estate. It's not even that. There are many more things. Yes?
Rwandan.
Yes, yes, yes. They are very expensive for ordinary Rwandans. But at least you are aware in the last the last 15 years, we have resolved that problem for the majority of Rwandans across the country, not just Kigali. Yes. Whichever part of the corner of this country you go to, you'll find improvement for ordinary people. It's not, so be it across the country, be it in the city. So the country is growing because it is actually addressing largely that problem you've mentioned. Yes. And the economy has been growing, and the country, the population getting better for it because of those efforts. Again, as I said, if there is any moment you will come and find we have no problem, or you go around and not see any problem, I'm not telling that to you. I'm not promising anything, because I know we are going to live with those problems. But doesn't this growth of the city and the country and also impress you to some extent? It does. Yeah, these same people are struggling, by the way, today to find, let's say, a house, or if you meet them maybe a year later, you'll find maybe they have made good progress. They have actually addressed the problem. So it's not an easy thing, or easy question to answer, but the country is growing, and it is growing, not some people growing at the expense of others. I think you'll find that growth is really more or less evenly distributed across the country, better than you'll find in any other country. I would even say that. Yeah. But there are problems. There are many problems to deal with. We just have to deal with them and keep going.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question from Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mine is not really a question, but first I want to appreciate this opportunity. And Mr. President, my name is Crazy Kenna. I'm a content creator from Kenya. My main work is usually to entertain people by reflecting to them what actually happens. And I've actually done a skit regarding how Rwandan citizens relate with you as a president. After doing a lot of research, when I was walking around the city, I asked a lot of people, and they told me that we see our president as our father. I thought that was a joke until today I witnessed you solving as a case here and asking, what did he say? What did he say? So, Mr. President, your people really love you.
I'm as crazy as you are.
And lastly, Mr. President, you know, my father usually say that he believed that content can take people places. For me, I just request a selfie to go and show him that I met the president of Rwanda.
Yes.
And
I'll give you two. Do I have to stand, or you'll do it just okay.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We'll now take a question from
Good day, Your Excellency. My name is Banele Reo. I am a content creator, but more importantly, I am an entrepreneur from South Africa. I'm here today because of an invitation by ASG, and this is my second time being here in 7 months. And the reason why I'm here is because of initiatives that you are directly involved in, like the ASG, we are a co-founder. Now, my question is, there seems to be a really strong drive with your leadership in terms of entrepreneurship. So now, I'd like to know, going forward, for the youth, right, into the future, even beyond your tenure, what do you think is the priority, or what should the priority be for them? Between two things, for the youth, going forward, between serving in office, serving the people in office, and entrepreneurship? Or can there be a balance between the two? Because with your leadership over the years, you've shown that you serving people was the most important service that you had to do in the last 30 years. But I see a shift maybe going to entrepreneurship. Is that true?
Yeah. Actually, some people can have a better opportunity than I had of starting as entrepreneurs and ending as leaders who serve people. But beyond that, they could start with both. For me, there was no opportunity to start with both. I had to start as one, and so don't set any barriers in your mind. Just think about what you want to do, and for the young people, start with knowing and believing that you can do something. And starting from that, you can do many things. And so read correctly the opportunities before you, and within you the talents you have, and the desire you have, the energy you have. Don't waste any of those. Just use them. Let the limit to that come from somewhere else, not from you. Yes. So the young people should learn very fast. Learn at the earliest you can. The world around you and the opportunities available to you, and take it when it comes. And just again, as we've talked about the mindset, you have developed a mindset where you don't complain about problems but or look up to somebody else to be the one to deal with your problem. Start with yourself. And even if that was to happen, it happens when you have started the journey yourself to do things. The other people can step in and be useful, there's no question, and many have benefited that way. But start always with yourself, the thinking at least, because that shouldn't cost much to anyone. So the young people, use your time well, and then use whatever investments that have been made in you or you have made in yourself, to grow that and also find ways of working together. One may not be enough, but two or three or more working together will always deliver something that is going to last and much bigger than what any one person can deliver to you. So we in Rwanda, we had an opportunity when we were young ourselves. It was to begin with, very risky. So it was extremely risky, but it was tried. And those who survived are still living, and what they delivered and still delivering has enabled many others to, I should say the whole country, to make a big, big difference for themselves and for the country. So the responsibility doesn't stop anywhere. It keeps coming from one generation to another and to another and to another. So play your part within your generation. All right?
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question from Lionel.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity. My name is Lionel Nditebriye. I'm a writer for the Pan-African Review. My question is about Africa security, to be precise. We live in a world where a powerful actor can come and attack you without having so much as a good justification. So at the recent ISCA high-level discussions, the head of the RDF research and development said that Africa cannot remain a mere consumer of technology. And they were talking about autonomous systems, new weapons emerging. And you've talked often about self-reliance. And so I was wondering, in a sector like defense, how can we translate self-reliance into real capabilities, defense capabilities, and what can Rwanda contribute to that quest? Thank you.
Well, we are trying. I mean, the first thing is, I'm glad you had that discussion. The very fact that somebody put it forward like that within that context already shows from the thinking, practical things happen. In fact, it's not just self-reliance is in many aspects. It's not just in technology and different systems as you mentioned. Self-reliance goes into other areas, even of governance. And as you have seen in Rwanda, there are so many things we've done in areas of governance and service and delivery, and some people will wonder whether we don't even have more resources than we are known for. It's like, how does a poor country get to be here on this, on that, and so on? That is delivered actually by that mindset of self-reliance. So the self-reliance aspect of it makes, you know, the aspect makes people, there are things I said when I was answering one of the questions. I said, do whatever you can within your means. There are people who have the means and they can't deliver on something when they have the means. In fact, some people have a lot in terms of means and they don't deliver much. So, in that discussion, what was being said can be applied in defense, in I mean, again, another simple example, we are used to having, you have heard of peacekeepers across the world, financed by the UN, by big powers, and so on and so forth. And some security products that have to do a lot with the peace cannot be delivered because people will tell you there is no money to finance it. So we've tried to move around that and say, no, but there are some things that can be delivered even without much money by the UN or by the rich people. People know about Mozambique, or they think about Central African Republic. But I can remind you that, for example, you must have heard of a case in Sudan. Remember the conflict in Darfur. That was way back, even before we started having some of the things we have. Our forces went and served in Darfur, first under the African Union and then hybrid African Union, UN. And do you know that for the first months, I think like 9 months, our forces went there and served without being paid anything. We were paying them from here. We were giving them their salaries, putting their salaries on their account here. They were there. Whatever they were using there, we were giving them. That was, and what was delivered in that situation was better or more than we have seen delivered by so much money poured into a situation. There in the food. So it's again a question of how do you want to approach a problem. Having independence to do, it doesn't matter the size. Rwanda is not by any standard a big country. We are one of the smallest countries, I think, in the world. But does that stop us looking around for what we can do and within our means and do it? Or deliver whatever we can somewhere else, first looking at what is within our means. So it's that sort of approach that must have built on during that discussion that happened recently. There is and by the way, looking at what makes you independent does not remove the fact of the need to work together. Work together, but start from a point where you people coming together, each one of you must be saying, suppose the worst comes to the worst and I'm on my own. How do I survive? how do I operate? How do I deliver to an extent whatever I need to deliver?
Thank you, Excellency. In the interest of time, may we take just one last question?
I don't know how many, can you see many faces here, people? Maybe we try and shorten questions, and I also try my best to shorten my answers, and we take more people.
Thank you, sir. We'll take 2 to 3 more questions. We'll start with you're the center.
You've taught me to say so many things. I never used to speak like this, but you made me talk and talk and talk and talk and
Muraho.
yes, Baroness.
Joel Talargi here from Ethiopia. I'm a tech content creator as well as software developer. So I'm here for the forum. Thank you for this chance, Your Excellency. So I have a very critical and short question for you regarding technology and AI for Africa. So to make it short, AI systems are learning what Africa is from data. So systems learn from data, and that data is wrote about us that we didn't write. So Africans didn't write those data that AI is learning. And we have the youngest population on Earth, which is a very big thing, and the thinnest digital footprint of our own making. So my question is, what will African governments do differently this time? Not to consume AI, but to make sure that Africans creating content, data, and stories today are the ones training how models that will define us tomorrow. Because every decision being made around the world is being influenced by AI. And AI is good if the data that it's trained on is good. If it's bad, it's going to be biased. And also AI is going to take jobs, and AI is going to affect the education, entrepreneurship, and every sector.
Right. Well, so that's a good question. But the problem doesn't start with the AI. It's not, AI is something recent, right? Meaning for collecting data and not doing much with it, and collecting it in Africa, is something that precedes the era of AI. So, but it goes back to that question, where Africa, whether it is AI or anything else that will come in the future, and we shouldn't be taking all this long to be part of the conversation, the global conversation. How can we keep referring ourselves to, I mean, as people who are left behind, who AI comes, is the data, it is collected from us, it is going to affect us because those who are developing systems using, yes, that is a problem that has been there for, let me say, the last 100 years. We really need to change that conversation and just like in your own way, I mean, your talent, your profession, you're in, and so on. Many Africans have that knowledge. They have, in fact, sometimes they are the ones working for those institutions or those companies that develop AI systems. You find they're Africans. So we need to resolve a bigger problem on our continent where, yes, we need to be at the same level with the rest across the world, because we can. Why is it just a given that Africa must lag behind everybody? No. So, but what you are saying is true. But it doesn't, it shouldn't be that way. It's something we need to change. we're already too late in doing that. Too late. We should have done it 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even on other things and in other areas. So the conversation around this African governance and the mindset and so on and so forth should be making a dent, at least in, shaking Africa into this position where we can't keep being onlookers and just having things about ourselves being taken care of by others. I mean, just imagine it for a moment, what that means. Why? Why should it be like this? But it's not just asking questions, you should also find answers. And the answers are in this room. They are in another room next, and another room on our continent. Yes, let's make the investments that are needed. We've already made the investment, let's say, in our young people and others grown who have developed certain capabilities, they are there. So why don't we bring our heads together and do it without waste of time?
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question from Joseph.
Urakoze nyakubahwa Perezida. Nitwa Joseph Wakuzwumuremyi, naturutse ku kinyamakuru Umuryango TV. Ndagira ngo mbabaze ku kibazo kijyanye n'icuruzwa ry'abantu.
Short question. Tugire short duhine.
Yego cyane. Ndagira ngo mbabaze ku kibazo cy'icuruzwa ry'abantu ahanini kibasiye urubyiruko. Ariko nanababwira ko kuva tariki 15 z'ukwa gatanu 2026 hari abanyarwanda bafungiye muri Madagascar. Bageze muri 5 b'urubyiruko bagiye gucuruzwayo, nyuma babafunga bashinja icyaha bakorewe ahubwo. Imiryango yabo rero basaba ubufasha. Ariko hano hari n'urubyiruko rwaturutse hirya no hino muri Afrika, kandi n'icyo kibazo n'abanyarwanda bafunganyemo n'abandi bageze muri 21 bava mu bindi bihugu byo muri Afrika. Nagira ngo mugire message mutanga muri rusange.
Icuruzwa ry'abantu ni ikibazo kinini cyane kitari mu Rwanda gusa, kiri ku isi hose, cyane cyane yenewe abanyafrika. Baravuga bari Madagascar, hari abo tubona bari mu Bushinwa, hari abo tubona bava mu Buhinde, hari abo twumva bafatiwe mu bihugu byo mu Gulf region, hari abantu birirwa bafatwa, polisi n'izindi inzego in fact zirirwa ku rugamba ziba zifata baravuga abatwawe Madagascar cyangwa bariyo n'iki. Hari abo fatirwa ku mipaka hano bafite abantu babatwaye, babambutse imipaka, babategereje hakurya, kumva ngo bamutwaye ahandi, hashira igihe tukazabona batubwira ko hari abantu abanyarwanda. Iyo kibazo kirakurikiranwa, tugerageza inzego zibishinzwe z'umutekano zigerageza gukorana n'izindi nzego z'ibihugu bindi kugira ngo icyo kibazo gikemuke. Nta kindi numva nakivugaho usibye ko abo babonetse bakeneye ubufashwa bakwiriye gufashwa. Ubwo ngira ngo inzego ziri hano zibishinzwe ari na Minisiteri y'Ububanyi n'Amahanga bakorana n'izindi nzego bakabikurikirana icyo cya Madagascar bakamenya ko giteye kigashakirwa umuti.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the next question from Sam.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Sam Karenzi, ndi umunyamakuru ubusanzwe wibanda ku makuru y'imikino. Nyakubahwa Perezida, u Rwanda rumaze igihe rushyira ingufu mu kubaka ibikorwa remezo bya siporo, cyane cyane umupira w'amaguru. Mu minsi mike ishize amakipe yacu yaba y'igihugu ndetse n'amaklub amaze iminsi yitwara neza, uko mubibona football final yabiri mu murongo muyifuzamo nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
Niyo ko ntemeranya nawe kwitwara neza bikiri hasi.
Nabazaga nti murabona hakorwa iki noneho kugira ngo gume mu murongo mwiza cyangwa ikomerezeho?
Niwe nabaza naho ntabwo nagerageje ibyo nshoboye, ndafasha ndasunika ndagira ntariko ntabwo mbizi, ntabwo nzi icyo nafasha kindi kirenze, ariko nukomeza tukagerageza. Ariko ikibazo nitwe kirimo n'abanyarwanda n'abakinnyi n'abandi, ikibazo kiri muri twe, tukivanyemo byatera imbere. Uribuka mu minsi yashize ibyo najyaga mbabwira hano, ukabona abantu barakina imipira biba n'ahandi, ariko jye simvuga iby'ahandi, ndavuga hano yewe. Abantu ugasanga n'imyifatire gusa n'imico, ngira ngo baragiye babwira abantu ko abateze b'umupira bagomba kugura imisatsi bakishyira ku mutwe, cyangwa bagafata iyo ku mutwe yabo bakayiziringa ukuntu bashatse. Ibyo bikaba gukina umupira, cyangwa bikavaho bikajya mu kuraguza, bikajya mu birozi, bikajya noneho byangiza bikaba no kwiba na mikoro yarakwiye kuba arimo, ugasanga ubwo se wenda n'ahandi birahaba kandi birahaba, ariko genda avuga ibitureba. Ntabwo abantu bashaka kugera kure, ugira uko wifata, ugira uko witwara, ugira uko aho uhanga amaso ukaba ariho ushyira ingufu, ariko ibintu biri aho ntabwo niho mbura uko nafashe. Narafashije naho nashakishaga n'amafaranga, nkafata n'umwenda nkabaha, kubera ko bije itabonetse ihagije, ariko ukabona hari ibintu bitaza mu bantu, bakajya no mu matiku, bakajya mu bintu byo kwangana, bakajya mu ntambara no hagati y'itimu ubwayo muri imwe, cyangwa hagati y'itimu imwe n'iyindi, ugasanga niho ibintu bya uwagabanya ibyo byose navugaga, bimwe bifite intuzo, tukareba neza, ariko tugatangira no hasi, abana bato bakarerwa ku buryo bazamuka umuco w'igihe cyashize cya kera, wasangaga umuntu umukinnyi bamuvuga gusa kubera ko izina ryavuzwe muri 76 rigahora ari iryo, akarinda nogoka, nta wundi bazamuye inyuma ye. Bikwiye guhera hasi, abana ariko noneho the culture, the environment, ibintu bifite, ndetse bakava no muri ibi, ubwo nabo bashobora kujya gukina umupira babanza bakajya mu biyobyabwenge cyangwa mu biki, byose ni ibintu abantu bakwiriye ibyo nimushaka ko dukorana nanjye nkagira uruhare nkabibafashamo, muzampamagare nzabikora. Ariko noti ibi bintu by'akajagari biri mu marozi, biri mu nzanguro, biri mu myitwarire, ntabwo ibyo nabijyamo. Nahagaritse no kujya, ntabwo nzajya nta mafaranga ngo ishyire mu bintu bijyamo aho, sibyo?
Excellency, nari mbigendeye ko ikipe y'igihugu y'u Rwanda iherutse kwitwara neza muri mikino ya FIFA Series yari yabereye inaha. Rayon Sport iherutse gutwara igikombe cya Sekafa, nacyo cyabereye aha. Numvaga bitanga icyizere, kandi nari nabonye mwatangiye no kugaruka kuri stade.
Ndagaruka ariko nkataha. Nk'ubwo uravuga ibyo ngibyo iby'amakipe tuvuga, ariko ikipe y'igihugu se bivugaho iki? Ntabwo bikwiye guhera kurangirira aha. Ndavuga umupira w'ayo makipe uzamuka neza, ariko ukagera no ku gihugu, n'igihugu kikagaragaraho cyifata neza. Impamvu byo bitaba ni ukubera iki?
haracyarimo byinshi byo gukosora.
Harimo byinshi tugomba tubikosore, two kubinyura iruhande, tubikosora uko bikwiye. Naho yewe ubufasha bwanjye no gukunda umupira rwose ibyo birahari, biri guaranteed, ariko ariko mbona bindenze nkisubira inyuma nkajya kwikorera ibindi.
Akoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nari mfite ikindi kibazo. Abantu bari muri media ndetse n'aba content creators dukomeje kugorwa n'ikibazo cy'imbuga nkoranyambaga zitari monetized. Ubushize mwari mwagitanzeho umurongo nyakubahwa Perezida.
Ikibazo sinzi aho cyahereye, yuko twagishinza na minisita bijyanye n'ibintu bya ICT byahereye. Hari icyo bakoze, hari wazi niba hari progress. Arubizi? Okay. Ariko tuzongere tugerageze dukurikirane turebe. We take note of that. Ariko ndibuka ko mwakivuze, twanakivuzeho, ndetse abantu basezeranye ko bazakoresha inzego zibishinzwe hakagira igikorwa, ariko ubu niba nta cyabaye tuzabikurikirana turebe.
Thank you, sir.
There's somebody who kept putting up reach iruhande where somebody else who yes.
Hello, Mr. President. Thank you so much for letting us to be here as content creator. My name is Abdel Basit. I'm from Morocco, and I'm so happy to be here. The question that I want to ask you, and it comes from my followers from Morocco and from some other countries, that said, what the challenges that Rwanda get to be clean as that match, because I really surprising for that the things that I see, and you are doing great job, and I hope the best for Rwanda, and I will visit again, inshallah.
Yeah, most welcome. But it's a choice again, as we said. We try,
yavugaga kuri iyi.
And it's not only in Kigali, by the way, even efforts in rural areas are being made to try and clean environment. These are some of the things I said. And I kept asking, in our own discussions, knowing, all of you here, people in Rwanda, they have homes they come from, the homesteads and so on. And I used to give an example for a homestead to look or to be kept clean. Does it require foreign aid? Do you need foreign aid to clean yourself or to clean your home or environment? So we raised it to the level, we said, yeah, even our country, much as we are not a wealthy country, if we raise it from that concept of a home to a country, people taking care of the environment, we ask ourselves, does the country need foreign aid to keep itself clean? We said, no, we can actually clean it up ourselves, irrespective of our economic status. And that's how it started. Yes, in the first year, it was a bit difficult, people just saying, no, why do they tell me to do this? We kept going. And I made sure I would show up myself to do some cleaning. And maybe some people said, well, but if the president can go there, why not me? So they started coming. And then later on, they saw the benefits. because if the environment is clean, it benefits those who live in that environment. So one thing led to another, and so on and so forth. So it's just because we decided to do it, and anybody can decide to do it, anybody can achieve it. And so it's one of the things. And look, as a country, as a small country like Rwanda, you know, again, it's our discussion. We keep having it as a discussion among ourselves. We have a bigger task for people to notice and be associated with us. You see what I mean? So we try to do something that will be visible, and by that we shall be visible as well. There are people who don't have to go through that to be visible, because of what they have, because of their size, because of the... So, but it's like, even let's say in the concept of fighting corruption, if Rwanda, a small country like ours, is known for corruption, who will come to you? They even ignore you. They not notice this small country that is corrupt. They look the other way and go somewhere else. You don't represent anything to them. So we make sure that, oh, let's avoid this thing that will take attention away from us because of how negative it is. Yes, so we cannot afford to be known for corruption because it will destroy us. Away from us. Yes, we are coming from a very small place already, and then you do that bad thing, you disappear. For me, I'm not one of those who want to disappear. No, I want to be here and seen and for what I am. So that's I'm just giving you a little bit of history and where it comes from. Yeah.
Thank you, Excellency.
Maybe somebody else there.
There's a lady here.
One or two.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Amazina ni Njoki, ndi Munya-Kenya, but I live in Rwanda. And I've been here for 4 years, and one of the main questions I get as a Kenyan living in Rwanda from my fellow Kenyans, Gen Zs, is how does Rwanda actually do it? How do they are able to have governance that actually works for its people? So as we're headed into elections, what would be the advice that you would give to Gen Zs on how to
contribute in any way to the progress the country should be made. So it's a bit tricky, it's broad, it's sometimes amorphous, it has no shape, it has no, but it's around those elements that people have to think along. Yeah, and for the interview and so on, the discussion, I think my people can see some sitting behind you, you get close to them and you can make an arrangement. I'll be available.
Thank you, Excellency.
Then the other two, maybe quickly.
The lady right there? Yes.
Your Excellency, thank you for giving us this opportunity. My name is Roxane Litvin. I am content creator and I come from Côte d'Ivoire. My question is, Mr. President, how do you plan to ensure that the presence of young people in spaces like this go beyond being symbolic and that they can actually have a say in the decision?
Sorry?
Yeah?
There are things I missed in what you are saying. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, I can repeat. Yeah. Mr. President, how do you plan to ensure that the presence of young people in spaces like this goes beyond being symbolic and that they can actually have a say in the decision shaping Africa's future?
Well, it's really not, at least I will say, yes, I have a role to play, but it's not, I'm not the only one to have to shape that. By this I mean even the young people, by the way. You don't have to be told what you will do to shape your future. Sometimes you initiate it, you think about it, you raise the voice, you talk about it. So it's not the president, it's not the minister, and here it's not somebody else to make sure. All of us make a contribution. We bear in mind all that for all our actions. We are saying, yes, how about the future? How about the young people? What role would they play? How can they be supported to do that? But even if you did it the best way, without the young people themselves showing up and, trying it either with this support or not, then nothing much happens. I'm therefore trying to flip the whole argument that the young people have actually a much bigger role to ensure that is the case. Yes, you ensure by the way you behave, the way you work together, the way you develop, but also by way of raising this issue with anywhere where you can raise it so that you are heard and people hear you and factor this in what they intend to do or what they are planning to do. Yeah.
Thank you, Excellency.
Yeah, somebody who was sitting next to her.
Jadot?
Quickly, we can take it. Then there was one person there. I saw the arm there. One arm.
Please go ahead.
Urakoze Gufungura. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Jean de Dieu Bagirisha. I work for BNB FM. Mr. President, for the last 32 years after liberation, the education policy for all is affording the country young people who are well educated. But the projects for the youth are difficult to coordinate with the banking sector. The youth are coming on the labor market, hoping to be employed by the government, but government cannot employ everyone. How can we create projects for the youth who are well educated and who leave schools without any investment? All those have been provided for. We discuss about this issue all this time, and where there are issues, it's
ibintu bidahagije. Abantu basubira inyuma rero bagashaka uko ese bituruka kuki haba hari abantu bangana gutya batabona ubufasha kandi hari uburyo bukwiye kuba bafashwa. Tugashaka iyo mpamvu tukayikemura. Naho ubundi nibwira ko byashyizweho uburyo bwashyizweho hari bamwe actually babibonyemo inkunga wenda kumva ko hari igitekerezo cyiza umuntu yagize cy'imikorere ariko akabura ubufasha kiramutse gihari cyiza nyine ni ikibazo abantu mujye mwegera inzego zibishinzwe zimwe bitagombye kunyura ahandi kure mu biganire ndetse bishobora no kuzamuka bikagera hejuru niba hari kesi runaka abantu baba bazi yari ikenewe gufashwa yashobora gufashwa ariko ntifashwe.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take the last
Maybe the last one. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Darina.
Your Excellency, my name is Kayumba Darina, and I am a Rwandan content creator. And first and foremost, I would like, this is more of an appreciation, and as a Rwandan content creator, of course, so I truly appreciate your leadership and the transformation Rwanda continues to experience. And as a young creative, we are inspired by the direction our country is taking, and we are grateful for the opportunities to contribute and tell our stories and be part of Rwanda's future. And I've also created actually a short film about you, and inshallah, you will actually get to witness it. So that was it.
I want to be able to see it.
Yes, inshallah.
Okay.
Thank you, Excellency.
So keep doing the best you can, and let's keep helping each other. And what the government can do, will do. What you can do for yourselves, and you should do. You don't go absent when you could do a lot for yourself. And if we can be of any support, I think it's a question of structuring it and organization, and I think we can help more people than are being helped, maybe, if we approach it the right way. So, asante sana.
Thank you, Excellency. Wish you a good evening.
Ikiganiro rero cyahuzaga nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika Paul Kagame n'abanyamakuru